Hi everybody, I'm Corinne Blackstone and welcome to my craft room. I am so excited for this tutorial. I'm going to show you how to make a really fun fall shirt. I've partnered with Siser to show you guys their brand new Siser Easyweed colors, and we're going to use them to make this beautiful item. I'm going to show you some of their new colors right now. This is Periwinkle. It's beautiful, a very nice light blue, absolutely gorgeous. We also have Sage, a really nice light green. This is a wonderful color that you can use for all the seasons, but this really does work for fall very well. One of my favorites right now is the apricot. This is a very nice pale color, really gorgeous, and again, really works with any of the seasons. We also have latte, which is a very nice light brown. Cashew, another in the brown tan family, and I love that they're offering us a lot more neutrals now. These are gorgeous colors. Now these are the ones that we're going to use on our shirt today, which is why we only have small samples of them because we've already used them, but they're really fun. This is one of my favorites. It's green olive. It's gorgeous, an absolutely really true green color that I absolutely love. Now I am a huge mint fan, and this retro mint is amazing. I love how bright it is, and it's really, really pretty. We also have mocha, which is a really nice brown color. Hazelnut. This is a great color. It's perfect for fall, and it is such a pretty, pretty color. The next color that we have is pale peach. This color is a very nice peachy color, and it shows up beautifully on dark fabrics. Followed by flamingo, a bright pink. And my absolute favorite is the new mustard. This is a really true mustard color, and it's stunning. So I'm going to show you how to make a really easy shirt. We're going to need some Siser heat tape. This is something that I recommend any crafter have. And then I'm also going to need a black shirt, and we're going to make this gorgeous shirt with these falling leaves. I thought this was a fun way to really incorporate all of the different colors, and I wanted to add some non-traditional fall colors to show you guys that sometimes adding that little pop of color to a fall themed item really is going to make that item stand out. And fall isn't just browns and tans and oranges. If you live in Ohio, you know that fall can be millions of colors, including pinks and blues. So let's get started. I'm so excited to show you guys how to make this shirt. I'm going to show you how you can use a template in Cricut Design Space because there's actually some really cool stuff that they have added to the templates to make them a little bit easier to use and to envision your design. So the first thing that we're going to do is click on the word templates, which is on the left side of the screen. And it's going to bring up a bunch of different options. So you've got everything from aprons to banners, belts, bowls, all sorts of great things. But what we're looking for is just a classic t-shirt. So it's right here, and this one looks more like a real photo of a shirt versus like a cartoon drawing. But there are so many things that you can really work with, so play around with it and find what you're looking for. But today we're going to use classic t-shirt, so you're going to go ahead and click on that. It'll take a second to load, and just remember that the templates are only for references, and they won't be actually saved with your project. So that's something to keep in mind. Now over here in the upper left-hand corner here, you can see where it says type. So you have a couple different options. You can do men's, women's, kids, toddlers, and babies. Now I'm using a unisex shirt, which is considered a men's shirt in Cricut Design Space. You can then also change your sizing, and I'm going to use a size large shirt. So it's just going to kind of resize it to make it a little more lifelike in size. You'll still want to do some of your own measuring just to be sure that it's correct. I'm going to click images over on the left hand side, and all I'm going to do is type in the word leaf. There are tons and tons of leaf images that you can use from Cricut Design Space, or you can load your own from Google, but you can see there's lots of different styles and types and designs. This right here is the leaf I'm going to choose. I actually ended up searching maple leaf just to get it down to a little bit more of a specific leaf shape. But again, you can search oak leaf, you can search pretty much anything that you want to. So it's going to bring up our leaf shape. Now, I don't want the outline, I actually want it filled in. So let me zoom in a little bit so that you guys can see our leaf a little bit better here. So this is our little leaf. And like I said, I don't want it to be hollow. I want a full leaf, but I liked the thickness of the stem on this, and then I liked the edging on this one, which is why we're going to use this design. So if I want to fill it in, all I'm going to do is in the lower right hand corner, click the word contour. Go ahead and just click in the center of the leaf and then close the contour button. You'll see now that your leaf is a completely solid shape. That's just an easy way to turn an outline into something solid. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom back out again so that we can see our t-shirt. And we are going to make kind of a falling leaf look down the front of our shirt. Now, you'll want to kind of figure out how big do you want your leaf to be. That's going to be our first indication of what we need to choose. So I think a 3-inch leaf is a pretty decent size for the design. So you'll kind of maybe want to like hold up a ruler on yourself just to see, especially if it's a shirt for you, how big is a 3-inch leaf going to be, you know, on your shirt, on yourself. 3 inches is a little bit large, I think, for me. So I may want to go just a little bit smaller. It's really up to you. You can make them whatever size you want, but I think a little bit over 2 inches is probably a decent size for what we are doing. So maybe we'll go about 2.5. Let's do like 2.6 inches for our height on our leaf. That'll give us about a 2.5 inch width. I think that looks pretty good, and it won't make the lines too thin. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to lay out my leaf design. So what I'm going to do is click duplicate a few times, which is up in that upper right hand side. And I'm just going to duplicate it a couple times. Nothing too crazy. And all I'm going to do is kind of spread them out a little bit for now. We'll put them where we want them in just a second, but this is just going to allow us to spread them out so we can see all of our different leaves. So I'm just going to start up here in the upper shoulder area. Now, I don't want all my leaves to face the same way, so I'm going to go ahead and just turn them a little bit as I'm making this design. Now, I do want to keep in mind that I do have a seam to think about right here where the collar is, and then also right here where our sleeve is. But at a 5-inch total width, I should be fine to put 2 leaves, but you can always sort of stagger them a little bit. And when we go to do this, we're actually going to just hand lay them out. This is more or less just to get an idea of how many leaves we're going to need for our shirt design. So all I'm going to do is just kind of move our leaves around right now, get them into a position that I like, and we'll go from there. Now that I've gotten a little more towards the bottom of the shirt, and you can see that I've sort of made the leaves a little more organic. They're not all in just a single line. What I want to do is actually make more of a pile of leaves down here at the bottom. So I'm going to just choose one leaf and duplicate it a couple times just by clicking duplicate over and over again. Now, it may take a second to duplicate multiple leaves, but don't worry, it's just a little bit slow sometimes. So again, you want to keep in mind that you do have a little bit of a seam at the bottom of your shirt, and I don't want these to rest right at the very bottom of my shirt anyways. So what I want to do is I'm just, again, going to kind of turn them around, flip them a little bit, and these ones, it's okay if they overlap a little bit. That's totally natural because this is going to be where the leaves have fallen to. So they're going to fall into this little pile down here, and again, you really just turn them any way you want. You can put them however you want. Whatever you would like to do is up to you. And again, it doesn't have to be like a perfect line. You can stagger them, you can do whatever you want, but again, this right here is just for a general idea of how many leaves we're going to want to cut out and use. So again, I'm just going to kind of flip them around a little bit. Once you're satisfied with however many leaves you have and the look of your shirt, you can actually change the color of your shirt as well, which is really fun. So I'm going to do this on a black shirt. So the first thing that I'm going to do, I actually want to select all of my leaves, and I'm just going to change them to a bright color for now. It doesn't matter what color I choose right this second. I just need to change them so I can actually see them on my shirt. So if you want to change the color of your shirt, you can just click down here where it says classic t-shirts, and you can change your coloring of your shirt right here in the center. So I'm putting mine on a black shirt, so I'm going to just change it to black. That really just helps you visualize a little bit better, but I like to leave it white while I'm kind of laying everything out. That way I can see a little bit better where like the collar and the sleeves are. That's just my personal preference. Now we're going to be using some of the new Siser colors, so I'm really excited to show you guys these new colors. And we're going to be using some that are maybe not so traditional for the fall season, but I think are really going to pop and make this look like a really fun, different colored shirt. It's going to be just a really, really cool thing that we can do. And I'm going to show you how to customize your colors so that you can really see what it's going to look like. I'm just going to choose a random leaf and we're going to change its color. So this one I'm going to use the color Flamingo, which is one of the new Easyweed colors. So if you don't see a color that looks right to you, go ahead and click the word advanced, and you can use this little slider bar down here to change the main color that you're looking for, and then you can use this one to try to change it to a color that's a little bit closer to your HTV. So again, we're using Flamingo, which is kind of a paley pink. So you may need to mess around and play with it a little bit to get it to be a little bit closer to the color you're looking for. I think that looks pretty close actually, so we're going to go with that one. Once you're satisfied, you can just click off of it and you have your Flamingo pink. The next one we'll do is Pale Peach. So we'll go ahead and select, again, you can just select any random petal or leaf. And we'll do the same thing with the advanced pulled down. Now this one's kind of a peachy, orangey pink, so it's a little bit harder to find quite the color you're looking for, but you can just sort of get close. It doesn't have to be exact. It's more just for you so that you can get a visualization. I think that looks like a pretty close color. So we have our colors selected. Now what we're going to do is go through and figure out what color we want the leaves to be. And you can choose any colors that you want from your menu, and you can see all the colors are right up here at the top. So you can go through and pick what color you want the leaves to be. So I think like I'll do like a flamingo up here, and then maybe we'll do this mocha or the hazelnut. So we've got the green olive, mocha, hazelnut, flamingo. Let's do a mustard one, which is right here. And then let's make this one mint. So now you can see we've got kind of the 5 colors up here, so we can start spreading those colors out down towards the bottom a little bit. Now that I've changed the colors on all of my leaves, we can actually just hide the t-shirt design. And this is the leaf pattern that we have. Now, I like to make sure I have a few extra of each color of leaf before I go ahead and hit make it. Now what I want to do is select a leaf of each color. So what I'm going to do is click on a leaf, hold shift, and select another leaf. So I just want to make sure I have a leaf of each color chosen. So I should have 7 leaves selected, and I think I missed a mint leaf. So I'm going to go ahead and just make sure I have 7 leaves selected. I've got mint, hazelnut or mocha, pale peach, mustard, hazelnut, flamingo, and olive green. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this really quickly. And it might take a second because it's quite a few layers. So Design Space sometimes doesn't love all of the layers. I'm going to go ahead and slide this over and just make sure that I do in fact have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 colors. This is going to be really fun. So I'm just going to go ahead and move these around because these are going to be our extra leaves. So you can just sort of move them into a smaller area. I probably only want to cut about 3 or 4 extras of each color. So I'm just going to duplicate this 2 more times. So I have 3 extras that are not actually on the shirt in my Design Space, but are going to be just cut so that I make sure that I have enough. That way if I move things around on the shirt or when I put it on the shirt, I want a few extra leaves. And once you've got that all set up, you're ready to go. We're not going to do any kind of attaching for this because if you were to attach these in a way that is going to cut them in the order you have them laid out, it's going to waste a lot of material, which is why I said we're actually going to hand lay these out on our shirt. Now, I will say it is a good idea to click save before you ever click make it. So we're just going to call this leaf shirt and click save. That way you don't run the risk of losing all the work that you have done, and Cricut can save it. Plus then you'll have the layout of your leaves. You won't have to worry about it. You can kind of re-reference that when you go to lay them on your shirt. Now what I'm going to do is click make it. With this design, you don't need to actually mirror it because there are no words. It's the same forwards and backwards. However, if you were cutting something with words or you needed them to face a specific way, when using HTV, you do want to use the mirror function. Mirror is right here under your mat when you select it. Now you'll notice that it just flips them so that the stem is going the other way. Now keep in mind that when you do this with multiple colors, you need to mirror every single mat. Now, like I said, it really doesn't matter because we're just doing leaves, but I'll go ahead and mirror them. That way that you guys can see how to do it. But see that I have to click every single mat and click mirror. It doesn't just do it on its own. Now, another thing to note, because we are cutting every single mat, it's all the exact same. It doesn't really matter which mat you load. If you were cutting something that was specific to the color scheme, you're going to want to make sure that you note which order that they load in. So what I like to do is before I go anywhere, I put them in the order that they load in. So this one would go mocha, pale peach, hazelnut, mustard, olive green, retro mint, followed by flamingo. But like I said, they're all exactly the same, so we can load them in any order that we want. That's a great time saver if you're cutting the same thing on every single color. What I'm going to do now is get the machine ready to go. This cuts on the everyday iron-on setting. You're going to want to make sure that we load with our carrier sheet side down, and I'll show you guys how to know which side that is. We are going to use the green standard grip mat for our Cricut, and then like I said, I have all of our colors, and because it's all the same item that we're cutting, it doesn't matter what order we cut our colors in. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and take the plastic off of my mat. I recommend keeping your plastic so that you can cover your mat when you're not using it. And we are just going to take whatever color we would like to start with and place it with the carrier sheet side down. So there are two sides to HTV. There is what they refer to sometimes as the shiny side, and then you have the other side, which is actually the HTV. Now in some colors of HTV, you'll see that the backs of them are white. And the reason that we have white on these lighter colors is so that when we put them on a dark color fabric, they stay nice and bright. You'll note that right here with hazelnut, which is a much darker color, the color goes all the way through because it should be able to hold its color against dark colored items. So you'll see the same thing here with mocha, same color on both sides. But mint here being a lighter color does have that white backing. So a lot of people really do question that, and it's really just to help keep that color nice and true. Now with the green, olive, and the mustard, you'll see they were the same color front and back. If you ever are not sure which side of your HTV you need to put on the mat, what you can simply do is take your pin pen or other weeding tool and go ahead and just peel the corner back, and you're going to see that you have a spot that is a clear carrier sheet and one that is your vinyl. I will say that you're not going to damage anything by doing that. Your Cricut's never going to cut that corner, so I wouldn't worry about it. Here's a quick trick to help you load vinyl or HTV. Slide your mat just a little bit under the door of your Cricut. Take the main part of your vinyl or HTV and lay it over your Cricut, and then all you need to do is just lay the very beginning part down, and then you can kind of pull your mat out and lay the rest of your vinyl or your HTV down on your mat. Sometimes it's a little bit easier to work with a smaller piece versus the entire 12 by 12 sheet. I'm going to go ahead and load this. It's going to measure our material because we're using the Maker 3. Then it will ask me to press the go button and we can cut our material. I'm going to go ahead and cut all of our colors, and then we can get everything weeded. I'm going to show you some really fun ways that you can press your shirt. One thing I like to do before I continue cutting the rest of my sheets is to just double check and make sure that my cut did a good job and it looks like it cut through. I can see the cuts on my vinyl, so I'm just going to peel the corner like I'm going to start to weed it, and I'm just going to peel this back just to make sure that the leaf is staying on the backing. Looks great, so we're good and happy with that. So now what I'm going to do is unload my mat. So I flip my mat upside down, and I take and peel my vinyl or my HTV, depending on what I'm using. These tricks work for both. And I just peel my mat off of my HTV, just nice and slow. I'm going to set this one over to the side, and we can get the rest of these all cut out. So we're going to use a 100% cotton Fruit of the Loom shirt. This is the size large. Do whatever size you need to. But what I've done is I've cut around all of our leaves so that they have a little bit less carrier sheet around them. And that's going to make it easier to lay them out so that we don't have to put quite as much pressings on this. So we should be able to press this in way less presses. So all I'm going to do is just kind of start, and I'm just going to lay them out. There's no right or wrong way. There's no right or wrong color pattern. You do whatever you want to do. However you want your design to look is completely up to you. So you can just sort of start laying them out. Now I do try to make sure that they're in different order so that they're not all facing the same way. And I just try to kind of lay the colors out so that they're all sorts of different angles. There's different colors all spaced out around. So putting like this hot pink color, I might switch this bright pink flamingo with the pale peach because I want to put that mint over here. And I think that the mint will be a little bit bright right next to pink. So we're going to go ahead and put the retro mint down. And like I said, you just do whatever kind of direction you want your leaf to face. It really is up to you. You can gather them close together. You can spread them out. Really up to you. So let's go ahead and get the rest of these laid out on our shirt, and then I'm going to show you another little trick. So now that I've got some of them laid down, before I move the shirt too much to get the rest on the bottom, because there's not a lot of carrier sheet, we are going to use some Siser heat tape. This is great for sublimation, but you can also use it when using HTV to help hold your HTV in place, especially for small pieces like this. And especially when I've got a ton of them on here and I don't want any of them to move, both when I'm moving it to place more designs, but also when I'm going to move it over to our heat press. So what I'm just doing here is just taking little pieces of tape, and as I'm going down, I'm just going to make sure that in some of the places where I have the leaves a little bit closer together, that none of the carrier sheet is actually under any of the HTV. So I'm going to put 2 little pieces of tape on each one as I go down. You don't have to use a ton, just a little bit will do. And again, it's just to hold it down. I didn't tape these 3 leaves down quite yet because I'm just not sure that that's where I want them to sit. So I'm just going to play around with my leaf placement. Now for this part, I do want some of my leaves to overlap. So down here at the bottom of the shirt, we are probably going to do a couple of presses, but I want to get a look at kind of the look I'm going for to see what I want it to look like, because I do really like the idea of it being a pile of leaves down here at the bottom, using some of these fun colors. These really fun pops of bright color I think are really going to add this little fun adventure into our HTV design. So I'm going to go ahead and get these laid out, and then these will probably move around depending on how I layer. But I do, like, you see how I'm kind of putting leaves on top of other leaves. That's sort of the look that I am going for here. So I'm just going to keep playing around with this, and then we will get ready to press. So I think I like the way I have everything laid out, but like I said, this bottom part is where we're not going to really be able to tape anything. But I am going to make sure I tape down this yellow one down here. And the bottom is going to be a part that we are going to do kind of in a couple of different layers. So this will be a nice way to show you guys how to layer with this HTV. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and start just gently pulling some of these up, and the ones that I'm going to use, I'm going to put over here to the side. That way I can easily know which ones I used. I don't really think it matters, like, to me, that it's all the way I had it exactly laid out. So I'm just going to gently kind of peel off what I see are the top most layers, and I'm going to see which ones don't overlap anywhere, and those are the ones that I'm going to be able to press with this first press. So like you can see, this brown one doesn't overlap anywhere, so I'll be able to press him by himself, and then I think possibly this pink one can go by himself, but the yellow one overlaps just a little bit, so I'm going to need to take him off. But I should be able to do a couple of these. I think maybe not this yellow one, unless I go through, and this is where you're going to need to watch, because there's just a little bit of carrier sheet kind of in the way between these two. So what I can do is just pick one of them off and really trim that carrier sheet really, really close to that section, and then just sort of move it to a better placement. But again, you're going to want to really watch where you have things placed. So I think that looks pretty good. Everything looks like it's not touching. So I'm going to go ahead and finish taping these guys down. And these are an easy thing to press. The Siser Easyweed presses at 305 for about 15 seconds with a medium to firm pressure, and this is a warm peel product, meaning after you've heated it, you can peel the carrier sheets off. So again, I'm just going to tape these down. I want to make sure everything's taped down pretty well so that it doesn't shift. I will go get our heat press set. The nice thing is that you can press this with an easy press, with your heat press. You could use an iron, but I really prefer using a heat press for this. So I'm going to go ahead and get our heat press rolling, and then I'll take the shirt over. I'm going to show you guys how my heat press is set up, and then we're going to press. This is my 15 by 15 StarCraft clamshell heat press. This heat press is awesome. I really, really love it. It is really good quality. But there's a couple things on here that I think people miss, and I want to point them out. So I do have a Teflon sheet attached to my heat press. I just used some magnets to hold it on. That way I never forget my Teflon sheet. It's really important that you have some sort of protection between your heat press and your item that you're pressing. I also have a pressing pillow under here. This is just a 12 by 12. You can find these in lots of different sizes, but they're really, really great. This is just a nice pressing pillow that just helps you get really nice even pressure. So what I'm going to do is give this a nice full press on this section. Now it's not going to fully press a couple of these leaves, so we're only going to be able to really pull a couple of the carrier sheets off. Then we'll move the shirt, press the next section, move the shirt, and press the next section until we get down to the bottom where we will do some layering. Now I am going to flip the shirt around. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and pop it off fully off of my press. So I'm just going to place my shirt in a way for me that makes the most sense to get the best press here on these leaves that are kind of like in the middle. And then I'm going to avoid the leaves at the very, very bottom, because those are the ones that we want to make sure are not pressed too much. So I'm just going to kind of see where my heat press is sitting in my pressing pillow, and I think that looks good. This one right here won't get a full press. This one won't. We'll need to press this one, and this one probably a little bit more. But that's okay. This is one of the things I like about the Easyweed. It's pretty forgiving. So I'm going to go ahead and press this section, and then we're going to go ahead and do the layering on the bottom. Now, because we are pressing a lot of these bottom section leaves for a couple of times, I'm not going to give them the full press. I just press them for about 7 seconds, and that's just enough to tack them down, which is all we really need. Now you can see here where this little mint leaf kind of is hanging off. I'm going to leave him with his carrier sheet on, and I'm going to try to leave this yellow one's carrier sheet on as well. Same with this brown, because those did not get pressed fully, and that's okay. So what I'm now going to do is just shift this one more time. And again, I'm going to try to shift it so that the bottom section is mostly on to my pressing pillow. And this is where you kind of adjust a little bit, move your pressing pillow around, figure out where everything needs to sit. And that's one reason I really like to use a pressing pillow. It really helps get that nice, even pressure. So again, we're only going to press this for just a couple of seconds, just enough to tack it down. And we do have one leaf that isn't really getting a great press, but that's okay because he will get a press later. So again, I just pressed for a few seconds. And what you're going to do is just peel that carrier sheet off. Again, I'm going to be careful not to peel this brown one off because I don't think he probably fully stuck. But that's okay because we'll come back through when we press down our next couple of layers and he will get fully pressed. So don't fret too much if you didn't get a full press down. But do keep in mind these are really very warm. So you'll want to be cautious, and if you have sensitive hands to warm temperatures, you want to be really safe. So what I'm going to do is just again kind of spread my shirt out. And I'm going to just pull this onto the pressing pillow a little bit more. And you do want to make sure you're looking for any wrinkles. So I'm just going to go ahead and push this back onto our press. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and take the leaves that I wanted to layer. And I'm just going to lay down kind of a first section. And you can always add more leaves if you want to. It's really up to you. But again, with this layering, you do want to make sure that you only put like one section down so that they're not overlapping each other, because you don't want any of the bottom section leaves to overlap the carrier sheet. So I'm just going to give them a little overlap there, and then we'll add more. So again, we're just going to press this for just a few seconds. Usually about 5 seconds will do, so you don't have to press it very long. And then we'll just do this for the next couple of layers of our leaves, but you can see that they're just pressed long enough to hold themselves down and not really burn them or damage the vinyl. And you've got this really fun layering effect going. So I'm going to add more layers and then we'll be all done. It's really fun, really easy. That last press, we give a nice full press, and then we can go ahead and peel off our carrier sheet. Everything is done, and we are ready to let this cool off, and then we can take a look and see how it came out. Here is the finished shirt. Thank you again so much to Siser for sending me all the fun new colors from the Easyweed line. I love being able to take the neutrals and combine them with some of the bright colors like the flamingo and the retro mint to really make an item that pops. I hope you guys learned some fun tips and tricks from this video about how to press, all about layering, and different ways to really design your items. I really love the templates that they offer in Cricut Design Space. It makes it so easy to visualize what your item is going to look like when you're done. I hope you guys will try to make a fun shirt as well using some of these awesome new colors from Siser. I love the Easyweed line. It's easy to weed, apply. It's so fun, and I can't wait to make more things with all of these fun new colors. Be sure to check me out on all my social medias, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. I look forward to seeing you guys over there and getting to know you better. Be sure to check out, I have tons of great videos and tutorials. I hope you guys had so much fun. Have a wonderful day, and as always, happy crafting.